like you played Teen Town though. I'm just going to call it out because the first time I heard that, it freaking knocked me on my back. Because at the time, I was like, maybe 19. I picked up the bass really late. I picked it when I was 18. And I'm like at home, going, trying to get that all down and stuff like that. And then this dude came into work and he was like, "Oh, I've checked out this." And he put on that record. I was like, "Damn you, Marcus." I was like, "I'm just trying to play it fingerstyle and now you're slapping it. You ruined my day." Well, oh man, it was so hard to do with slap, right? How long did it take? Like, what was your,
No, I learned it fingerstyle like everybody.
Yeah.
But at that point, man, I had been playing like this in so many different situations that it was actually more natural. And plus it was on a David Sanborn TV show. We had a show called Night Music. There was a music variety show. And our guest was Eddie Palmieri. And we figured, what are we gonna do as an encore, like as the credits roll? And somebody said Teen Town, but Eddie had that electric acoustic piano, boom, 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 and he's playing strong, man, and the thing is way high. And that wasn't gonna do it, man. I had to come up with some power, you know what I mean? I said, okay, that's gonna work, But I knew Teen Town very well, so it was just about figuring out how to get it to work, and maybe I had played it fooling around when I was practicing, I don't remember doing that, but I probably did. But the thing was that we got all these notes written into the TV show. What the hell was that? You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, all these bass players wanted to know, how to do it. And then there was all this controversy about, it shouldn't be done like that, which was hilarious to me. It shouldn't be, no, I'm laughing and I'm going, okay, I'm putting this on my record just because mainly it'll piss Jaco off, you know what I mean? Because it was 91, he had just passed, but he and I had a great relationship, and he was always busting my balls, about stuff, Marcus, you think you're hot stuff, I said, man, I'm trying to be like you. Why are you on my case,
Was he older than you or
younger?
Yeah,
he was like, let's see. I think he passed when he was 33 and I was probably about 25, 26. So that was a difference, but that's a big difference. You know what I mean? He's the generation before me, And so he opened me up, man, when I first heard his records because he was a composer. And I don't think most bass players realize the reason they fail as artists is because if you're not writing, if you don't know how to write for your instrument, if you just make a song and then you figure you're gonna put your bass on top of the song, like playing the melody like you're a singer or a sax player, it's not gonna work, I mean, who Stanley Clarke knows how to write for his instrument, right? He doesn't write melodies where you go, no, he goes. That sounds great on the bass guitar.
Hey, listen, we're going to be going back to the main video in just a few seconds, but quickly, I wanted to let you know that we have got a special SPL giveaway club that you are going to want to be a part of because it's 100% free to join. Each and every month, we give away audio interfaces, strings, bass heads, pedals, cables, multi-effects, straps. We even give away basses. And to join the giveaway club for free, all you need to do is go to splgiveaway.com or just click the link in the description. Now, with that said, good luck in this month's giveaway, and let's get back to the main video.
That's music for a bass guitar. That's not music for a horn where you're just kind of, playing at an octave lower, sounding like a heavy-handed guitar player. No, he knew he had a relationship with his instrument. He knew what sounded good. You didn't hear Jaco playing in the upper register all day. He plays the, wow, he could get a major seventh to sound clear on the bass. Right? That's composition. Right?
Yeah.
somebody who knows their instrument and knows what sounds beautiful and meaningful and unique on their instrument. You know, a lot of bass players now, they're playing, but they're playing basically, they're not celebrating what's unique about the bass guitar.
Yeah,
right?
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah.
And so you're at a disadvantage because you're doing stuff that a guitar player can do, falling out of bed. You're working hard to do this thing, and some people are doing a really good job at it. But there's nothing like the revolution that happened when Stanley Clarke came out with that, School Days.
That was
you know what I mean?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Or when Jaco came out, because it's stuff that people heard before. It's just on a different instrument. You know?
Yeah. What was your relationship with Jaco like? Because you're obviously like both living in and around New York and stuff, working. Like I'm assuming like you were obviously doing more sessions. Was Jaco really involved in that scene or not?
Jaco was in Weather Report. He and Joe Zawinul had a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, because Joe's very strong personality, so is Jaco. Apparently they had a blow up and Jaco quit the band. Michael Urbaniak, who's a Polish violinist, fusion guy, who had a good relationship with Joe Zawinul, he said, Jaco's not in the band, call this kid Marcus. You know, like I'm 17, 18 years old. And so Michael calls me, stay by your phone. Zawinul's gonna call you to play in Weather Report. I'm like, you must be out of your mind. I'm not replacing Jaco in Weather Report. That's a beat down getting ready to happen. You know what I mean? Well, I'm gonna come in there and play like, right? And man, people like, right? So I just stayed away from my phone. Because there were no cell phones. There was no answering, no nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the 70s, man. So I just said, no, man, I'm not ready for that. And Jaco and Zawinul eventually, you know, kind of got back together.
Yeah.
And Zawinul invited me to come see them at the Beacon Theater in New York.
Oh, fantastic.
So I got a ticket, you know, like invited by them, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there just watching Jaco and just going, wow, man, it's incredible. So I go backstage after, right? You know, I'd like sneak backstage during their last song. So they're coming down, and Jaco comes down the stairs. And I go, hey, man, my name's Marcus. He goes, oh, you're the little black kid who plays like me, right? I said, no! Right? Anyway, I thought about it a long time now. You know, at first I just thought, oh, no, please don't tell me he's like that. But I'm sure Zawinul, when they were fighting, said, I don't need your ass. There's a little black kid who plays like you in New York that I can call. You know what I mean? That sounds more realistic. So Jaco was just repeating what Zawinul had said to him. That's what I think really happened. Anyway, the next time I'm playing with Roberta Flack, you know, Luther and I are Roberta's band, and we're in a hotel in LA, and the phone rings in my hotel room. Marcus Miller. I said, yeah, it's Jaco Pastorius. I'm in 265. Come up here and get your lesson. I'm like, this dude, man, is so arrogant, you know. But I said that as I'm going to 265. I'm gonna get my lesson. I'm gonna get my lesson, you know.
Yeah.
And he was there with his wife, man, a lovely lady, man. And he said, this is what I'm working on now. He said, it gets all your fingers working, you know, it's whole tone pattern, you know what I mean? And then he played some other stuff. And he said, okay, here, now you play for me. And I was like, at that time, man, I was Jaco'd out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point I said, I would feel really stupid playing Jaco stuff to Jaco, right?
Got it. Yeah.
And I went. And his wife was like. And he takes the bases. I can do that. I just don't. You know what I mean? And I said, well, good. leave something for me to do, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just, it was like false bravado on my part because, you know, you realize, man, if you're in the heavyweight, man, you could just sit there and just get beat up. Or you at least get a couple swings in before you get beat up, you know what I mean? Because we were still relatively young men, you know what I mean? So there's that whole thing, you know? But we became very close, you know what I mean? And after his Weather Report run, he moved to New York. And at that time I was playing with Miles, but I was also, when I wasn't on the road with Miles, I was doing little club gigs, you know, a trio, great piano player named Kenny Kirkland.
Absolutely.
And Lenny White. And we just played, you know, it's an out of the way place called the 55 Grand. It was on Grand Street, and that was the address of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, I'd be doing my little gigs, and Jaco would just show up, wouldn't ask, just jump on the stage, plug in my amp, turn all the knobs up to 10, and do what he wanted. And I was like, come on, let's go. So we played Continuum together.
Yeah.
And on the Jaco recording of Continuum, he double tracked it. That's why it sounds the way it does. If you listen to Jaco Pastorius' Continuum, he played it once on the fretless, played it again on the fretless, and that's why you get that beautiful chorusing. It's just natural chorusing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we played it together, and it sounded just like that, man. And I went home on a cloud, you know. But you know, he would give me little digs, you know. Marcus, you think you're good because you can improvise. I said, man, I'm just trying to be like you, man. Why you know? Yeah. But it's an honor, man, when a guy feels like he has to put you down a little bit. You know, I was like, yeah, man, Jaco just insulted me. Yeah. You know? And it was all love. You know what I mean? It was just
that's
like
what I mean, yeah.
how we related.
Spirit,
yeah, exactly. Because, you know, when they'd ask him about bass players that he respected, he said, yeah, Marcus Miller, you know, it's beautiful.